Yay. All right. Yay. We're late, but we're here. So let me pull up my. I don't want to hear me. Okay. There we go. And now my chat is up. All right, guys. Hi. Thanks for joining. If you can hear me and see me, give me a thumbs up, say hi in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Hopefully you can hear me. So big news. We hit 100,000 yesterday. Yay. So we have a cake to celebrate because that's cake worthy, I think. Yeah, it's worthy. So we do have a cake to celebrate your graduation and the 100,000 mark. So you guys can remember this class forever because you were here when it all happened. So we're really, really excited about that. I mean, I am like unreasonably excited over that. I actually started crying yesterday. I was so excited. So today is graduation. It is the last day for you guys. Sad face. But you're ready for the test, which is good news. I know you don't think you're ready. You probably feel like you need a little more practice. Believe it or not, you're ready. You want to smooth those rough edges. You want to fine tune. Those of you that practiced on Monday, you missed a few steps, made a few mistakes, felt a little unsure, uncertain. But even with all that, I can tell you you're ready. Because remember, they're going to judge you against other yous, not against me. I am not the benchmark. And I want you to remember that. Okay. So stuttering and going back and catching your mistakes and having to redo things, that's all okay. You've got the basics down. But let me make sure you've got the basics down. Let's see. How do we know what to do with every patient? The care plan. So during the test, you're going to get a care plan. What are you going to do with it? Yeah, read it and follow it. Exactly. If you can do that, you are ready for the test. You really are. That is the biggest part of what they're grading you on. And I know I spend a lot of time talking about that care plan, and you guys are like, enough with the care plan already. We got it. But I can't overstate this. When you go take the test and you get a care plan that tells you to count the pulse for 1 full minute, you need to be counting the pulse for 1 full minute. And you're going to see a lot of videos out there. You're going to see other people do shortcuts, and nurses will tell you, oh, no, we never count for a full minute. You just count for 15 seconds. But this care plan on this patient is specific for a reason. And that doesn't end for the test. That's going to apply in clinical life as well. And it amazes me how many people are out there working as CNAs that are in these online CNA groups that have no idea what a care plan is. And they're making stuff up as they go. That's scary. It's scary for the patient. It's scary for the nurse that's assuming that liability. And it's scary for the CNA because you have no instruction manual. Don't be that CNA. Fall back on that care plan 100% of the time, and that'll make you safe. Good. All right. So every skill starts with the opening. What does every opening start with? A knock. What else do we have to do during the opening? Give me some steps on the opening. Okay, so we're going to address the patient by name. For the test, is there going to be an ID band? No. Name is fine. What name can we use for the test? Yeah, it's easy. What else do we have to do during the opening? Okay, identify yourself just by name and title. Okay, very good. All right, once we've done that, once we know who they are and they know who we are, introductions are over. What do we do?
Ask what we're going to be doing.
Okay, so we want to explain what we're doing. We want to ask for permission and we want to close the curtain. So absolutely, all three of those steps are valid. Once you close that curtain though, what do you want to do? Why? Yeah, curtain is unclean and your patient wants what kind of hands? Clean ones. So you're going to go wash your hands. And once you've washed your hands, what can you go get? Your supplies. Where are you going to put the supplies? On a barrier. You going to get the barrier at the same time? Why?
Because you put something against you.
Okay.
Carry all that and open it.
Yeah, it's hard to carry all that stuff and open the barrier. Well, why is that a problem? Yeah, your uniform's not clean. Are you starting to see that you really understand all these little steps? What seems like little nitpicky steps, there's a reason behind all of them. When you put the barrier on the table, which side faces up?
Absorbent.
The absorbent side, yeah. So let's say that we've read our care plan, we've done our opening, we got our barrier, we got our supplies. Are we going to grab gloves for everything? So which skills require gloves? If we're not going to use them for everything, that means some will, some won't. So which ones do? Can you tell me in this book which ones will?
Ooey gooey, bikini areas, and intact skin.
Okay, so it's not based on the skill, is it? It's based on the patient. So you're going to ask yourself those three questions. Am I going to touch anything ooey gooey doing the skill? Am I going to touch bathing suit area or personal skin? Am I going to touch non-intact skin? If the answer is no to all of those, you don't need gloves. If the answer is maybe, do you need gloves? If the answer is yes, okay. What's the first thing those gloves should touch though? The patient. Can we put our gloves on and then do all of our prep work? Okay, we want to do our prep work first, then put our gloves on. And you want to wear your gloves all the way through the skill, even when you're putting your dirty items away and cleaning your basin and all of that. But we are going to take them off right before we remove a privacy blanket if we use it, because we don't want to touch that sheet with dirty gloves. Good? Be aware of what your dirty gloves are touching. Now, speaking of privacy blankets, when do we have to use those? Uncovered or undressed. That's right. Why are we using isn't the curtain enough? Okay, dignity, because there is a stranger in there inside that curtain with them. Who's that stranger? We are. Yeah. Just because you've seen every tata in the land doesn't mean that you've seen theirs or that they're comfortable with you seeing theirs. So that privacy blanket becomes important for dignity, for privacy, but it's also for temperature because healthcare settings are cold. So we want to make sure our patient remains comfortable. When we put a privacy blanket on, what don't we want to do? Snap it or shake it. That's right. We're going to put it on over the sheet and then we'll pull that sheet down underneath. That keeps the patient covered throughout the whole process. When we remove the privacy blanket, we'll just reverse it. We'll pull the sheet up over and remove the privacy blanket. If we don't use all the supplies that we get, what do we have to do? Yeah, dispose of them. Absolutely. Can we save them for later? Can we put them back in the clean supply cabinet? All right. Well, talking about supplies, what happens if you don't get everything you need? What happens if you forget something? Can you go back to the supply cabinet and get it anytime during the skill? Ah, there it is right there. So yes, you can go back and get any supply you need at any time you want. You're not graded on any of that, but you don't want to reach dirty hands or gloves into the clean supply cabinet. So what would you have to do? Yeah, take your gloves off and wash your hands first. If you're not wearing gloves, wash your hands first because you have touched things in the environment. So where should a patient be at all times in the bed? In the middle. It doesn't matter whether on their back or their side, they need to be in the middle. But if you're going to turn them on their side, they have to be in the middle after the turn. So there's a step you have to take before you turn someone to make sure they're in the middle. What is that step? Scoot toward me and roll away. Yeah. So we have to remain behind the patients behind. That's right. So we're always turning patients away from us. And that's because when you roll somebody towards you, most of their weight distribution is along their back. And remember, gravity always wins. So gravity's trying to pull them back onto their back. And that's too far from you to be able to affect that roll. So when you try to turn somebody toward you, you lose control of their body weight. And it's also never a good idea ever to turn a patient eye level with your crotch. That's just kind of icky, right? If we're going to wash something, and man, we wash a lot. We have hand and nail care, foot care, partial bed bath, area care, catheter care. I mean, like a quarter of our skills are washing something. So we got to have some rules here for washing. If I'm going to get water, what do I need to turn the water on? Paper towel. I'm going to check it. What temperature should it be? Yeah, lukewarm. But it's not enough for me to check it. Who else needs to? Why? Yeah, they're the ones getting washed, right? My opinion does not matter at all here. Never, right? So they have to be comfortable with it, but their perception of temperature is probably different from mine because their skin is thinner. They don't have as much fat reserves underneath, and their nerve endings may not operate the same way mine do. So I always want them to check it. Whatever we wash, whatever we rinse, we dry. I'm not going to put soap where? In the basin. Why is that? Yeah, I need water for rinsing. If I put soap in the basin, then that totally negates my rinsing water. If I'm going to put lotion somewhere on the body, what do I have to do before I put the lotion on? And what do I do after I put the lotion on? Yeah, we want to dry it off or wipe off the excess. I'm going to clean every basin the same way. And man, we use a lot of basins. We have basins for mouth care. We have basins for denture care. We have basins for all the bathing skills. We use basins for bedpan. We use basin for graduate, triangular graduate container when we empty the drainage bag. We have basins for half of the skills that we do. We're going to clean something. For the test, they make this super easy. You're going to rinse it, dry it, and store it. That's it. Don't get all wrapped up in what am I touching? Where am I? Rinse it, dry it, and store it. But once it's rinsed, you don't want to be handling it with your dirty hands or dirty gloves. So you do need a paper towel to pick it up and one more to open the drawer. Because remember, you haven't washed your hands yet. So we want to keep our environment clean, prevent cross-contamination. Good? If the patient's feet hit the floor, what are we going to talk about? Shoes, absolutely. Are slipper socks enough? They don't protect against sharps injuries, and they don't protect against pathogens. In fact, they allow pathogens right into bed to snuggle right up to your patient. Slipper socks are not enough. If we're going to use a gait belt, how do we know it's snug enough? 4 fingers. If we're going to take a gait belt off, what shouldn't we do? Yeah, pull it against the skin. Very good. Before we lift a patient, we want to make sure their feet are flat on the floor. And after we stand them up, we're going to ask them if they're dizzy. If we're going to walk them, we want to make sure there's no obstacles in the way first. If there is, you have to move it before you stand them up. Super important. Good? Questions? You want to make sure that you're using proper body mechanics when you're lifting somebody, 1 foot in front of their feet, 1 foot parallel to their body, so that when you're lifting them, it's not putting all of their body weight on your lower back. You want to bend at the knees, not the hips, right? And then if we're going to sit somebody back down, what do we need to know from them before we sit them down? Yeah, we want to make sure that they can feel that chair behind them, whether it's a chair or wheelchair, doesn't matter. And then we're going to end every skill the same way. Every skill the same way. There's 6 C's to the closing. What are the first 4? Very good. Nice job. Nice job. So curtain, call, light, clean, and comfortable. Very good. And then once you've done all of that, right? You've asked them, are you comfortable? Can I get you a magazine? Your environment's clean. I'm going to open the curtain. Here's the call light. Use it if you need me, whatever. Once we've done all of that and we're done, what are we going to do? Yeah, we're going to go clean our hands. Now, once we've cleaned our hands, can we go back to the patient?
Yes. You got cleaning.
Okay. Patient's environment has cooties. So if you go back to the patient's environment and you give them a call light or ask them anything, or what do you have to do? Yeah, you got to get rid of those cooties. Yep. Patient environment has cooties. So at the end of every skill, once you've washed your hands, unless you absolutely have to, you shouldn't go back to the patient. Now, if you forgot something, go back to the patient, but then you have to rewash. Good? Make sense? Okay. Now, there's 4 skills that require documentation. So that's going to give us an extra step to do. So after we wash our hands, we're going to document. What do we need to do after documentation, though? Wash again, because that checkpoint says end skill with clean hands. So we're going to remember that if we have to document. Remember, there are 4 documentation skills. You are going to get one of them. You will get pulse, respirations, feeding, or drainage bag. You are guaranteed to get one of those 4 skills. That's the only guarantee on the test. Guaranteed to get one of those 4 skills. Good. So look how ready you are for the test, guys. Now you just have to put those rules into practice. But I told you on day 1, you were going to learn everything on that back wall. And you just told me everything on that back wall. And it wasn't too hard, was it? No? A little bit of practice will take you a long way. Remember that you have this room available on Mondays and Wednesdays from 1:30 until 4 for the next month. You can come back in here and practice, but you probably want to make a friend, exchange phone numbers, make a Facebook group. I don't care what you do, but get together, because if you come in here to practice by yourself, there's only so much you can do on the mannequin. You really need a live human. And you can't bring outsiders in. We don't allow family or friends to come in and practice with you because they didn't sign that waiver before you started class. So make friends with the people that are in here and come in and practice. You do need to be in uniform when you're practicing with your ID badge, though. That way I know that you're ours. I may not be here, and that's okay. You can, if the door is locked, just go next door and tell one of the guys over there, hey, I'm here to practice, unlock the door, and they will. Okay, let them know when you leave too, so they can lock up. When you come in and practice, there are a few things that I ask of you, though. You can see that stop sign there by the door. It says stop, read below. That tells you how I want the room to look when you leave. So if you come in for independent practice, please make sure all wet washcloths are hung up. Anything that can be reused, like a privacy blanket, is folded and put away. Make sure the beds are made, and make sure the mannequin is always in a gown. So if you practice dressing her before you leave, put her back into a gown, because every skill starts with a patient in a gown. Okay, is that good? So you still have the ability to come in here and practice. You don't, yeah, you don't have to come in and practice. You can practice these skills at home. It's it's perfectly acceptable. But here you have everything you need all set up just like the test. You've got a whole patient bathroom area, you've got the wheelchairs, you've got the mannequin, you have all of your supplies. It just makes it easier. If you can't come in and practice for whatever reason, you can purchase a practice kit, and that's next door. Just go to the retail store, tell them you want to buy a practice kit, and they'll get you all hooked up. And that has everything you need to practice. Has a gait belt. has a wash basin, an emesis basin, has one of these drainage bags, has the graduate container, has a bedpan, denture brush, toothette. So all the stuff that's really hard for you to find. Plus, like normal stuff, like wash basin, emesis basin, that kind of thing, toothbrush, orange stick, emery board, all of that is in the kit along with gloves and chucks. So you can effectively practice all of the skills in your own home using the right supplies to get ready. So we do have those available next door. And we have, I told you my mom was making dentures, right? So she just finished up a batch. So if you wait until about a week and a half from now and come in and let me know, if you buy a practice kit, I'll give you a set of dentures to go with it. Okay. They actually look surprisingly real, but like, don't use them. I mean, they're not like for real mouths, but they are good to practice brushing. All right. So any questions on what we've learned so far? We've covered a lot of information, a lot of material in a very, very short amount of time. Are you guys happy with the class? Do you feel you learned what you needed to learn? Yeah. Are there any suggestions you would make to make it a better class for you? Anybody have any suggestions? Is it helpful for you to have these live classes available for rewatching later? Is that helpful?
I watch the skills.
Okay. Yep. You can get we have skill specific videos. This includes the background, which most of you guys should remember, from being in here, but you do have these available to you. Now, there is something that I haven't talked about yet that we need to talk about today. If you go onto my main website, foryourcna.com, the number 4, yourcna.com. It's right here on the front of your book. If you go onto that main website, about halfway down the page, I have a workplace personality quiz. You're going to want to take this. It is very scarily accurate. I've had lots and lots of people go through it that are currently working in healthcare, and it told them, it pegged them. And I put a lot of psychology into this, but it's 19 questions, and it's going to ask you very targeted questions about what you like. Do you like fast paced? Do you like more clinical? Or do you like more personal care? Do you like working with a team? Do you like being more solo? Do you like lots of machines and things, or do you like or do machines intimidate you? You just want simple. It's going to ask you a whole bunch of questions, compile the answers, and then it's going to tell you where a good place for you to start is. And that's a question I usually get on the last day. Where should I apply? Where should I start work? Of course, you're already done. But it'd be interesting for you to take that quiz and see if you get pediatrics. So it's a good starting point for you. Now, I'm going to tell you that this isn't where you're going to land for the rest of your career. I started in pediatrics a million years ago. I also did doctor's offices and urgent care. I've worked in nursing homes and rehabs. I've worked in ICU. I'm not a mother baby nurse, definitely not. But I do like ICU, and I worked hospice for 5 years. I love that. So it really, you will grow as your career grows, and you will find different places that work well for you. Now, in those CNA groups on Facebook, one of the most common things I see on there is, what do you guys think about ALF versus hospital? Or Should I take a job here or there? And the answer to that, I understand why people put those questions on Facebook groups, but it really is very counterproductive because somebody else's experience in assisted living is not necessarily the same experience you're going to have in assisted living, because it depends a lot on your personality, but it also depends on the team that you're working with. Most of the time, when you leave a job, most of the time, it's not what you're doing, it's how you're doing it. So, this other staff members, are they cliquish, standoffish, don't want to help? Or maybe you're just overloaded with patients, or maybe it's the nurses are mean. Does happen. I wish I could say it doesn't, but sometimes it does. It's not usually the patients or the physical care. It's that you're objecting to. It's usually how that care is performed and the other people you have to deal with. So when you're trying to evaluate, where do I go to work? Do I go to work here or there? Understand that somebody else's experience may not be the same as yours. You may get into a place and absolutely hate it. It is the worst place on the planet. And you tell her, and she says, well, I'm going to give it a try anyway. And she ends up absolutely loving it. Best place on the planet, right? So that's a very individual thing. Don't be afraid to try a few out. If you get into a place and it's not a good fit for you, then keep looking. There is a place out there for you, but you have to find it. Okay? Does that make sense? I also want you to remember that the care you're going to provide in each place is going to be a little different. If you're working in a same-day surgery center, that's completely different care, even though you're a CNA, as a pediatric daycare. And that's completely different care than a cardiac unit at a hospital. That's completely different care than hospice. So even though you're a CNA in each one of those settings, it's going to require a different level of care from you. So don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to learn. And don't be closed-minded, because you may find that you really, really, really like a segment of healthcare that you didn't even know you would enjoy. I do have some job opportunities up on the board and the bulletin board. So feel free to take a look at those and see if anything there interests you. To my knowledge, they're still hiring. So there's one up there for an infusion center here in Spring Hill. It's where they do IV therapy, outpatients. So let's say that you need IV antibiotics. There's no reason to keep you in the hospital for that. And so you would just come to the center every day, and a nurse would hook you up to the antibiotics, and they would have techs that take vital signs and monitor you for changes and report those changes to the nurse. So,
Do they place like a fresh catheter every day, or do you go home with?
sometimes there's a PICC line in that stays in place. Sometimes there's an IV, peripheral, what we call peripheral IV, that's changed out every 3 days or so by the staff. It really depends on the use.
Do those infusion centers, are they doing like the fluid therapy, like if you have the flu, or?
I honestly don't know the extent of what they infuse. I do know they do fluid therapy, and I know that they do IV antibiotics, IVIG, which is used in autoimmune disorders. But I don't know. I wouldn't think that they're doing chemo in a place like that, but I don't know. I would think that chemo would be more oncology, but I haven't. All I know is what they told me when they called and said, please send us graduates. We need graduates. So I really don't know the scope and breadth of what they offer. I do know that they're incredibly busy, and can't keep up, and they need staff significantly. So there are some opportunities there. Now on my website, foryourcna.com, if you look in the top menu, all the way like one from the end, you'll see after certification. If you hover over that, another menu drops down and you'll see local employers. If you go to that page, now this is specific to Hernando County. So those of you in YouTube world, this isn't going to help you. This is specific to our county. I have every hospital, every nursing home, every assisted living facility, every home care provider, every rehabilitation center, every other category, which would be like pediatric daycare, all listed there, but it's not just listed. If you click on their name, it'll take you to their website on their hiring page for their, I took all the work out of this for you. All the work. All you have to do is go onto my website, click an employer. It'll take you right over there and you can fill out their application. It'll show their job listings and allow you to fill out applications. So I really have made it super, super easy for you to find a job. But I do want to talk to you about employment in just a moment. But before we get there, let me get your scores from chapter 10, because I start talking and I forget to stop. Christy, how did you do? Thank you. Jane? Thank you. Nicole? Jamie? Thank you. Novalie? Thank you. Isabella? Thank you. And Aprilyn? Thank you. All right. Do you have any questions on chapter 10? It's a pretty easy chapter, I think. Mostly common sense. All right, let's go to page 125 in your white book, please. My goal is to not just get you ready for the test, it's also to get you ready for work, because you didn't take this class for fun. I mean, I hope you had fun while you were here, but that's not why you took this. You took this class to get certified so you could get employed. That is your end goal, is to start your career in healthcare. And I want to help you with that. But finding a job in healthcare is not exactly like finding a job in other industries. Has anybody ever gone onto a jobs board, like Indeed or Snag a Job or one of those jobs boards, right? Where you go online, type in your title or what you're looking for, and all these jobs show up. Do you guys know that costs money for the employer? It's free for you, but every employer that lists a listing on there, it costs them money. Significant money. I'm not talking about $5. Significant money. So if I've got a position and I want to advertise it on multiple places, because you may have your favorite jobs board and you may have a totally different one that you default to, and you have a totally different one, right? So if I want to advertise on all of these jobs boards, it's costing me roughly what it would cost me to hire, to have an employee. That's a lot of money. Now, in healthcare, particularly in our area, there is more need than employees, right? So we always have openings, always, 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 always. I could hire everybody in this room and still be 3 CNA short. Always openings. So if we know that it costs a lot of money to advertise on these job boards, and we know the employers are always having job openings, you start to quickly realize that is unsustainable. So a lot of local healthcare employees aren't going to advertise on those job boards. So if that's your entire way of finding a job, you're missing out, because not everything is going to be listed there. Does that make sense? Your best option by far is to go directly to the website of wherever it is you want to work. So if you decide you want to be at the hospital, take my quiz first, because I don't know why this is. Everybody wants to work at a hospital. I think Grey's Anatomy is just like tickled everybody's brains. It is not like that. I can tell you for sure. But everybody wants to work at the hospital. Well, hospitals are very fast paced. And right now, you are not. You're still fumbling, trying to remember how many washcloths, right? We don't have time for that in the hospital. So if you go directly into the hospital, you may not be successful. And that might actually turn you off of medicine completely because of the pressure. Don't do that to yourself. Think about starting somewhere maybe a little bit slower where you can get your feet under you, or make sure that your skills are really up to par. Spend some time in the practice lab practicing your skills before you try to get on to the hospital. Does that make sense? But for some reason, everybody wants to be at the hospital. So they go online, they go to the hospital's website, they see that hospitals are hiring CNAs, they click on it, they apply. And then they probably don't hear anything for a while, because that application at a hospital is going to a human resources department. It is not going to the unit that you're trying to get hired on at. And that human resources department, all they can do is look at the job description that the unit manager gave them and look at your application. And if the terms don't match exactly, they throw your application away. So let's say that the job description says BLS required. Now, BLS is a fancy term for CPR. It's CPR for healthcare providers, because when we work, if I'm in Walmart in the pickle aisle and some guy has a heart attack and goes down, right? I'm at Walmart in the pickle aisle. I don't have any equipment with me. I can't, there's only so much I can do here. I can do CPR. I can, do some rescue breathing, but it's only going to take me so far, right? Well, if I'm working in a clinical facility, I got all the equipment I need. So I've got an ambu bag. I don't have to breathe into his mouth. I got an ambu bag for that, right? I've got a backboard that I can use underneath the patient so my compressions are more effective. I have, all different types, an AED on the wall. I've got all different types of equipment at my disposal that I can use in a clinical setting that I don't have at Walmart. Does that make sense? Right? So CPR is what we teach people out there, right? They can work at the pickles aisle at Walmart. BLS is what we teach you guys. So it's CPR, but we're also going to teach you how to use these other things that you have access to. That makes sense? So BLS, that's what you want when you're getting CPR, by the way. BLS. Or some places will call it CPR for healthcare providers. So BLS is on the job description. You type into your little application that you have CPR. That human resources person has no idea what the difference between BLS and CPR is. So they go, well, they don't match, toss the application. So if you want to get on at a hospital, your job is to make sure that your application matches the job description exactly, using the same terms. Everything has to match. And don't stop at one application. If there's 3 positions listed, you want to apply to all 3, because they're not going to share your application. They're not, 2 West isn't going to say, yeah, I don't need this person. Hey, 3 North, do you need this? They don't do that. If you apply to 2 West, that's the only place that your application is going to go, 2 West. So if there's 3 positions listed, apply to all 3. It increases your opportunities of getting hired. But there's another way to get into the hospital that a lot of people don't know. And I highly recommend this. If you want to work at a hospital, go take my quiz, make sure you're fit for the hospital, right? Go take the quiz. But if you decide you want to get into the hospital, look for a position called patient safety attendant. or one-on-one or sitter. Those are the three terms that are used. Now, this is a way of getting hired at the hospital. You can do this now before you get your CNA, your certification. And remember, we don't use restraints, right? We talked about that quite a bit. Instead, what we do is we hire somebody to sit right beside the bed and make sure the patient stays safe. So you, in effect, become the side rails. Okay. It's a great way of getting your foot in the door, getting hired at the hospital. And then once you get certified, you let everybody know, hey, I got my CNA now, got my CNA. And they'll start interviewing because it's easier to get hired from within. And you guys can all go to work right now as a patient safety attendant. Okay. Good tip. But there's other places you can look for a job other than their website. Social media is a great place to look for opportunities because every single one of these places has a Facebook page. So go on to their Facebook pages and look to see, they'll advertise job opportunities on their Facebook pages. But networking is probably the most fruitful way of looking for a position. Everyone knows someone that works in healthcare. Think about your social circle, your friend's mom, your aunt, your neighbor's son. Everyone knows someone that works in healthcare. And what a lot of healthcare places do, let's say that you're working at a rehab center in town. You're currently working, have been working for 6 months. Well, they have a referral program. So if you refer somebody to the facility and they get hired, you're going to get money and they're going to get money. So you tell her, hey, come apply at my place. And she does, and she gets hired. Now, both of you are going to get a bonus. So networking is the most common way of finding a job in healthcare. And you get some extra money out of it. It's a good avenue to look at. So are you guys starting to see that healthcare isn't quite the same as other industries as far as getting hired? Make sure you're utilizing all the avenues in front of you. Don't just rely on an online jobs board somewhere. Okay? But like I tell my kids, the best way to go find a job is to go. Don't look for a job sitting on your couch. Get up, get dressed, do your hair, put your best on, make up some packets, which we'll talk about in a minute, and go shake some hands. I filled out an online application. I just wanted you to have the opportunity to put a face with the name. Thank you for your time. When you do that, it shows initiative, but it also lets them get a good kind of once over, put a face to a name, get a sense of who you are as a person. But it indicates your work ethic as well. You have a much greater chance of getting hired if you put in some face time than if you're simply a name on a computer screen. I have hired someone here at our facility simply because he kept showing up. I did not have a position available, but he kept showing up. Do you need me yet? What can I do to help you? Is there a position open yet? This guy seriously wanted to work here. I mean, seriously. So I'll create a position for him. I mean, if he really wants to work here that bad, what kind of great things is he going to do for us? And he ended up doing great things. So don't be afraid to go in and let them know your level of motivation. Because if you're showing up and I'm not paying you, that means that you're probably going to show up when I do. And man, we have got a problem with that in healthcare. People do not show up. They don't show up. No call, no shows. Those are bad, but they happen in healthcare. If you want the job that bad that you're showing up even when I'm not paying you, I got a pretty good chance, pretty good shot that you'll show up when I do. That puts you way high on my list in my book. Make sense? Good. Make sure you give it a try. One of the things that you should do when you go in is take a packet with you. Now, this packet is very specific. And guys, this did not come from me. I wish I could take credit for it. It did not come from me. All of those hiring managers out there, by the way, you probably don't know this. About 70% of the people that are going to be hiring you actually sat in these chairs at some point. We've got close to 4,000 graduates. Most of them have gone on for nursing. I've got 6 or 7 now that are nurse practitioners, and 1 that got her doctorate in nursing. And they all started right here in these chairs. The people that are going to hire you, they know what you've been taught. They know me, and they come in and shop. So this packet came from them. They said, make sure your students know this is what I need to hire them. So here it is. They need a copy of your resume. If you don't have one, go get one. CareerSource will help you make one free. They need a copy of your certification card, what we call the blue card in Florida. They need a copy of it. Do not give them an original. You never give anybody an original anything. All originals stay with you. They need a copy of your CPR and first aid card. They need a copy of your certificate of completion from me. And they're going to need a copy of any in-services that you have completed. Okay. So you want to put all of that together in a packet, have it ready to go. And when you go in to either introduce yourself or go in for an interview, you should be handing them that packet and then shaking their hand. Now they're going to put the packet aside. They're not going to look through it when they have you in front of them. There's no need to. They've got you. I'd rather get the information from you. But you can't get hired if you aren't remembered. And you're not the only person they're going to interview today. And there's not much that's going to set you apart from other people. You have very little to none experience. So you've got to have a way of getting them to remember you. Yes. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So the packet is a really good way because that stays on their desk. And when they go to clean up their desk at the end of the day, they find the packet, they flip through it, and they remember, oh, yeah, Jane, I remember her. Oh, yeah, she made a good impression. It's a way for you to get back in front of them without physically getting back in front of them. Now, something else I recommend is that you send them a thank you card in the mail. A lot of people try to cheapen this and just send them an email. That's the easy way. Put a little effort into it. Anytime I went for an interview at a job, I always had the thank you card in my car, already written out. The only thing I had to put was the name of the person that I interviewed with. So it was all written out. Dear, and I left it blank. Thank you for the opportunity to interview with you today. I look forward to hearing your decision. Let me know if there's any further information that you need. Sincerely, my name. And then when I got out into the car, I would put the name of the person that I interviewed with. I would put it in an envelope that was already stamped, already made out. I would write the name of the person on the envelope, and I would take it directly to the post office and drop it in the box. My interview did not end until that thank you note was in the mailbox. That means it's going to get there tomorrow. And again, you can't be hired if you aren't remembered. So if you do this, if you go to the interview, have the thank you card in your car, mail it out that day, it'll get to them the next day usually. And chances are you'll probably get the job. Now, the reason this packet is important is because let's say that I want to hire Jane, right? Jane interviewed just fine. There's No problem with Jane. And April Lynn. You, okay. April Lynn, interviewed just fine, no problem. Now, if I want to hire Jane, I have to pick up the phone and say, Jane, I'd like to offer you a position, but we need a few things for your employee file first. I need a copy of your CNA certification and your CPR and first aid. That's required. But our company also likes to have resumes on file. Do you have one of those? And do you have any other in-services? Because by law, we have to keep those on file. Did you get anything where you went to school, like a certificate or anything? Can you bring that in? Bundle everything up, get it to human resources. They'll check everything off. They'll put the file on my desk when it's complete. And then I can give you a call to start orientation at that time. Or I could pick up the phone and say, April Lynn, would you like to start on Monday? Which one am I going to do as the employer? Easy, easy. She made it easy for me to hire her. If you want to be hired, make it easy to get hired. That's where that packet becomes important. It's all stuff they need as part of your hiring process. Is that good? Make sense? Never give them originals. Please remember that. Never give them originals. They may ask for them. It is your practice to never give an original because there are some unscrupulous employers out there. I wish I could say otherwise. Gosh, you have no idea. I really wish I could say otherwise. But you know, we're in a CNA shortage, right? They will try to keep you there no matter what dirty, underhanded tactics it takes to keep you in that position. And if they have your physical CPR and first aid card, they know you can't go anywhere else and work without it. So they'll try to keep your physical CPR and first aid cards just to keep you from leaving them. You don't want to do that. Okay? Help keep them honest. Keep your originals. Good? Man, it pains me to have to say these things, but this is what happens out there. So be aware. All of you, this drives me crazy. Okay. Let's go to page 126. Good morning, Ketta. Good morning, Carlene and Robert and Tamika. Good morning, guys. All right, so this drives me crazy. When you go for an interview, you guys all know that this is coming. Everybody knows this is coming, and nobody's prepared for it. So if I ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself, I will get deer in the headlight looks. Don't be that guy, right? You need to be able to sell yourself. And I know we talked about this a little bit earlier in the program, but you truly need to be able to sell yourself. So I'm going to help you with this really quickly. Now, understand, I don't know you guys hardly at all, but I'm going to help craft a elevator pitch for you. So I'm going to start over here. Can you tell me a little bit about your background? What things have you done work-wise? For how long? 2 years? Okay, is that the only job you've had? Okay. So your elevator speech would be something like this. I have a little bit of healthcare experience working as a, was it private caregiver? Okay. Working as a caregiver in an assisted living facility. And I found that I really liked it, but I'd like to challenge myself and be able to elevate the level of care that I wanted to provide. So I took a CNA class and just got certified. And I'm very excited about starting my career in healthcare as a CNA. I really believe I would be an asset to your company because I do bring some experience with me. And I also have a customer service background as well that helps me understand how to diffuse difficult situations and deal with difficult persons, understanding the chain of command. understanding time management and prioritization. And I do believe I would be, and I'm a team player. So I do believe that I would be an asset to your company. Okay. So that would be an awesome, quick, tell me about yourself. So what about you? What's your background, Jane?
Oh, as a farmer, and then I worked at public school as a baker.
Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you, employers absolutely love hiring Publix employees. So you're going to want to take that out, brush it off, shine it up, and present it. So, what, real quick, what made you decide to go from that to healthcare?
Well, retail, work holidays, it's busy.
So you're looking for something a little slower pace?
Right.
Are you considering home care?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if if I were you and somebody asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself, I would say something along the lines of, I'm coming out of Publix where I received excellent customer service training, and I really enjoyed my time there. I worked in the bakery, but it had some drawbacks as well. And I really feel drawn to pursue more caregiving one-on-one. I liked being able to help my clients in the bakery, but this is a little bit different opportunity. Give me a chance to spread my wings into healthcare. I'm looking predominantly to spoil one or two people, a little slower paced option. And I find it intriguing to be able to give all of my time and attention to one or two people and really elevate their quality of life. Okay. So something like that is what you would want to say.
I don't want to say something about not wanting to work holidays because you don't have to work holidays.
Right.
I said that after.
Yeah. Although I understand that nights, weekends, and holidays are essential in healthcare, I'm hoping that I might be able to secure a private duty or agency job that didn't require that or required fewer holidays so that I could spend some time with my family as well. Perfectly acceptable answer. What about you? Oh, that's awesome. Okay, you've got some very marketable skills. So what made you decide to want to pursue healthcare? Okay, all right. So are you looking to advance, to move on? Okay. All right. So if somebody asked you, tell me a little bit about yourself, my answer would be something like this. I'm coming out of a server experience and I really enjoyed that, but I'm looking forward to using my prioritization and time management skills, my ability to anticipate needs, and my desire to help others and improve their quality of life. And in that pursuit, I took a CNA class as step one. I do plan on moving forward, but step one, I got certified, and now I'm looking to start my career in healthcare as a CNA, where I can use those skills that I developed and be able to care for patients in a more medical capacity. And I'm also looking for a position that has some opportunity for growth and for advanced pay as well. So that kind of sums up everything that you said, but in a quick and easy way. Okay. That also is important because where you go to work, if you are looking to advance, they're going to help you identify opportunities for advancement as well. So you'd want to let them know that. There are scholarship opportunities, there's tuition reimbursement, there's a lot of benefits out there for healthcare track. So definitely make sure you let them know that. Hi. Yours is daycare, childcare, life.
For 2 years and then daycares for 3 years.
Okay. So similar, right? But you, okay. So for you, believe it or not, there's a commonality among all three of those, right? So for you, I would actually connect those dots. So I started out as a lifeguard because I was really drawn to the idea of being able to help people. And then I transitioned into daycare to apply those skills to working with children. And I found I really enjoyed working with children. And I went on to become a server as well, had to pay the bills. But along that journey, I learned how to anticipate needs, how to read body language, how to prioritize care, and the understanding or awareness of how, I'm trying to figure out how to say this, how to interact with others in a wide variety of settings. I feel that these skills will help me. I recently got my CNA, and I'm looking to apply this knowledge to something in that arena, either with children or with the elderly, and be able to bring all of these things that I've learned together in one vocation. What about you?
I worked when basically in customer service for 2 years, and now I just got my job as a host at Outback.
Okay. All right. So I'm customer service is huge. You guys, those of you who have customer service, you need to, healthcare is a service. It is customer service. We tend to forget that, but it is. It's very much customer service. So being able, developing good listening skills in customer service, you had to have good listening skills. So I developed great listening skills, great observation and reporting skills, the learning the importance of following policies and procedures, and working with a wide variety of people. Currently, I work as a hostess, and where I'm learning time management, prioritization, and working as part of a team to best serve the customers. I recently took a CNA class and got certified, and I'm excited about bringing those skills into starting my new healthcare career. And I believe I would be an asset to your company because I love to learn, I love to interact with others, and I'm excited to begin my journey in nursing, something like that. So what about you?
Past 12 years almost in the veterinary field, and before that was I worked in the private sector, exotic animals.
Okay.
Always been.
Yep. So the majority of my career has been in service to animals. From a medical standpoint,
I did a lot of like continuing education CE stuff when I was in the vet field. I specialized in like critical care, anesthesia, surgery technician. I don't know if any of that stuff is something I should put in the resume, only because it pertains to
the medical aspect. Yeah. Surgical procedures are surgical procedures. Have you considered, oh, you want hospice, right?
I do want hospice. I signed up. I'm trying to get into the Jersey program at the
Okay.
Jersey College, their RN program, trying to do that.
Okay.
This was kind of a meantime thing to get my foot in the door with hospice and kind of see if I think I would prefer to do home care hospice than a facility, but
Okay.
still
To be determined.
yeah, but definitely hospice. That's my goal.
Okay. All right. The reason I was asking that is because it seems like you had an interest in the surgical side of things, and surgical tech might be a good career for you to pursue as well, if you were leaning in that direction. So for you, I would say something like, most of my adult career has been in service to animals, particularly the technical aspects of vet work, such as assisting with surgeries and exams and working closely with the healthcare team. So I have a good foundation in healthcare from an animal perspective, but I really wanted to focus a little bit more on the human side. So I took a CNA class. My ultimate goal is to get into hospice. I do want to further my career into nursing. I'm just not real sure what direction I'm going to go yet. So right now, I feel that my particular skill set would best serve the hospice community. And I would love to bring my talents of compassion and organization and um, teamwork to this setting. And I look forward to starting my career in healthcare, in human healthcare. So you want to make sure that you pay homage to where you came from, mention where you're going. But the whole goal here is to explain to them why you are a good fit for them right now. So if you notice with each one of you, that's what I did. Those are the three components to writing a good elevator speech. Highlight the skills you've developed in your past, mention your future career goal, but focus on within that why you are the right person for them right now. If you can master that, you will absolutely nail every interview you go to. Absolutely. And it really amazes me that nobody is ready for this question. You know it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. But nobody spends time thinking about what they should be saying. And then you get this whole tripping over your feet thing. I don't really know. Well, if you don't know why I should hire you, how in the world am I supposed to know why I should hire you? A little confidence goes a long way here, guys. A long way. I know you're not overly confident in your skill set yet. So let me tell you, I'm confident in your skill set. Okay? Take some of that confidence with you. Good? Make sense? Any questions on that? A couple other things. And this is a hotly debated topic, let me tell you. What should you wear to an interview? Well, there's an old saying, dress for the job you intend to get, right? If you're intending to get a CNA job, what do CNAs wear? Scrubs. So it is appropriate to wear scrubs to an interview. It is. But a lot of it depends on your confidence level. If you are very uncomfortable in your scrubs, if you haven't settled into them, guys, that's why I have you wear scrubs to class. That is exactly why I have you wear scrubs to class, because that is going to be your uniform from here on out. As long as you're in healthcare, you're going to be in scrubs. So you've got to develop a certain amount of comfort and confidence in this uniform. You have to stop feeling like an imposter. And the first day you put them on, you probably felt like an imposter. So you have to develop a little bit of confidence with it. If you are not confident wearing scrubs, then put on business professional. You need to go into an interview with a little bit of confidence. But scrubs are appropriate as long as they're neat, clean, pressed. Don't just pull them out of the dryer and shake them out like we do for class, right? Run an iron over them. They need to be solid in color. Do not wear prints to an interview. Let me say that again. Do not wear prints to an interview. We have got the most adorable Tinkerbell scrub top next door. I'm dying for this top. And it is adorable, but you would not wear that to an interview. That's because most places are now in solids. And if you show up in a print, they're going to have to play fashion police with you, and they don't want that. So solids are best. And if you know what color their CNAs are wearing and you have that color, wear that color. It's easier for them to picture you in that position if you're dressed as someone in that position. If you go in a nice dress and heels and earrings and hair up and you look fantastic, they'll be able to see you as the receptionist, but it may be difficult for them to picture you as a clinician. Does that make sense? So dress for the job you intend to get. Perfectly okay. If you have visible tattoos, you do need to wear an undershirt or a jacket until you find out what their tattoo policy is, and that would be high on my list of questions. Now, tattoos are not nearly as taboo as they used to be.
I had to wear long sleeves.
Yes.
For certain.
Yeah. It's interesting for me to see how the industry has changed over the last 15 years.
Well, even Publix did. Their
Yeah.
whole tattoo and piercing policy changed. a couple years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, well, yeah, when you can't find employees because everybody has one, you have to change with the times. So it is interesting to see how that has shifted, but you don't want to force their hand when you're going for an interview. It's their rules, not yours. So you'd want to make sure that you're covered and ask, what is your tattoo policy? Remember, when you're hired, you are paid to represent the company's values. What they're paying you for. It's not to represent your own. You want to represent your values. You do that on your time or in your company, but not in theirs. So you want to cover and ask. Makeup should be minimal, natural. Hair, if it's long, should be gathered up so that it doesn't fall forward. The rule is if you lean forward and your hair could hit the patient, touch the patient, then it needs to be secured somehow. You want to make sure that when you go, you are odor neutral. Don't use a lot of perfumes. Don't smell like cigarette smoke. Please don't smell like Budweiser. Odor neutral. And this is something that most people won't tell you, but I think it's super important that you understand. If you don't drive, if you are getting dropped off at the interview, if you are catching a ride, it's really important that they don't stay, that you get dropped off and they leave. Now, this is kind of one of those things that nobody's really talking much about, but I think we should be. So healthcare workers are generally, by their very nature, pretty codependent people. We accept everybody for who they are. We try to fix people. That's what we do. That's what drew you into healthcare. Well, unfortunately, sometimes the people that we are drawn to that we think we can fix are significant others that are not fixable. So if you have a significant other who is taking you to an interview and sitting in the parking lot, that can be a problem. Because what signal that sends is that this is somebody who is jealous, controlling, and may impede your ability to work. You don't want to leave that impression. So if you don't drive yourself to the interview, they need to drop you off and leave. You can call them when you're ready. They can come back and get you, but they should not be waiting in the parking lot. You don't want to leave that control, even if they're not, even if it's completely innocent. You don't want to leave that controlling idea in their head, because I can tell you, if I have somebody who is interviewing and somebody is waiting for them out there, I'm going to feel rushed in the interview, but I'm also probably not going to take you seriously, because this tells me that, number one, you have to rely on transportation. Number two, the person is keeping an eye on you. So what are they going to do when you're working? Number three, what if you have to work late? Is that going to be an issue? And number four, what happens if you guys break up? That's going to affect the job. So I probably am not going to take a chance on you. I'd rather hire somebody else that's a little more stable. Does that make sense? So it's not something that we really talk about much, but I think it's important to mention. You want to shake hands firmly here during your interview. That's kind of important. No, like limpish thing. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do You want to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early, not like Tuesday early. Like don't get there days in advance. But you want to get there 10 to 15 minutes early. And this is actually kind of important. A lot of people don't really think of interviews this way. But guys, you have to think about a job, right? All things being equal, if you could pick anywhere in the world to spend your days, you're probably going to want to be at home, right? If I didn't have to work, would I be working? Yeah, you'd rather be home. So you are agreeing to give up your home time to go to this place for 8 or 12 hours a day for the 5 or 10 minutes early to a place. You need to be there to observe. You need to be seeing how long are those call lights going off before somebody responds? What does the facility smell like? How are the caregivers talking to each other? And how are they talking to the patients? That tells you a lot of things that you need to know about that work environment. If the caregivers are nasty to each other, you don't want any part of that. Because I guarantee you, if they're nasty to each other, it's cliquish and you're the new kid on the block and you're not going to fit in. If the call lights are going off and nobody is answering them, that means that either they're way short staffed or they have apathetic crew. The way the facility smells tells you everything you need to know about the quality of the work that's being performed. You need to take the time to interview that place as much as they're interviewing you. You're giving up your time to be there. You don't want to be totally miserable while you're there. Okay? So arrive early and use your senses. Make sure you've got some questions to ask. You know, at the end of the interview, they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? The worst thing you can say is, no, I'm good. Because now you look uninterested or even worse, uninformed. You need to have some questions. You're brand new to the industry. You don't know what to ask yet. So I've got a whole list of questions there on page 127 for you. Take a few of them. You should take a notebook with you, a small notebook and a pen, or some index cards and a pen when you go to the interview, and you should jot down notes. If they offer you a position, you want to jot down what they offered you, the shift that they are asking you to work, where to report for orientation, and what you should be wearing for orientation, who your supervisor is going to be, and what floor you're going to be working on. You need to, don't rely on your memory. Your memory will absolutely fail you, especially when you're excited that you're getting employed. You need to write all this stuff down. Okay. But there's a lot of really good questions there on page 127 that you can ask. When you are being asked questions, you want to make sure you're answering them thoroughly, but not overly detailed. Thorough, but brief. Okay. Make sure you're prepared for the interview. Good. So now you guys are all ready for the test. You can take the quiz to find out where you should want to work. Did you? Ah, nice. Very nice. You should be able to go onto the website and find local employers and click on there to go right to their website to be able to interview. You should know what interview questions to ask, and you should know how to present yourself well during an interview. So my work here, guys, is pretty much done as far as the certification goes. But now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to talk to you about what to do after you're certified, because getting your certification is step one. Keeping it is step two. And keeping a certification is going to require a little bit of work on your part. So in order to understand this, I've taken all the notes for you, just like always, page 122. I'm going to show you a video. In this video, you can see the little video clapboard at the top of the page there. It's available on my website. So when it comes to renewal time and you can't remember all of this, go back and watch the video. All the notes are here for you. Page 123 and 124 is the State Board of Nursing contact information. So if you decide you want to move to New York, you would want to look on here for New York, call the number listed, tell them you're a Florida CNA, you want to be a New York CNA, and ask what the process is. Some states have reciprocity. That means they're going to grant you a CNA certification there based on the fact that you have one here. A little fee, a background check for them, you're good to go. Other states are like, hold up, not so fast. If you want to move here, you need to take our tests. And then there's other states that say, nope, if you want to move here, you've got to start from scratch. You need to know before you go which state requires what. Okay. There is no, and this is, let me say this loud. There is no single certification that works in every state. This is important because some of those Facebook groups, there is somebody on there saying, you give me money and I will get you a nationwide certification. There is none. It's a scam. They are taking your money. Very important. CNA is still a state regulated entity. There is no compact. There is for nurses, and it's still not nationwide. There's only maybe 18 states that cooperate. CNA doesn't even have that. It's state by state. Okay. Very important that you understand that. So let's view this video. Notes are on page 122. If you want to know the difference between CNA work in each place that you would work, patient care environments, I have this on my website. This is a good video to watch. It's an animated video. It's not very long, 24 minutes, but it goes through all of the different workplaces and what to expect in each one. How to renew your Florida CNA certification. A guide for Florida CNAs. Brought to you by ForYourCNA.com. After you pass the state exam, you will receive your certification card in the mail. This card gives you valuable information. Take a moment to look it over. Check your name and address to make sure they are correct. Make a note of your CNA certification number. You will need this for employment and in-service credit. Your certification also comes with a convenient wallet card. Sign this and keep it in your wallet for handy proof of certification. But one of the most important things you need to pay attention to is the expiration date. It will be located near the top of the blue card in the grid. In Florida, CNAs are divided into two groups, odd year group and even year group. Everyone in the even year group will renew their certifications at even years, such as 2018, 2020, 2022, and so on. Everyone in the odd year group will renew their certifications in odd years, such as 2017, 2019, etc. When you become certified, you will join one of these groups.
but which group you end up in has nothing to do with when you test. You will be assigned a group when you receive your first certification, and you will remain in that group even if you allow your certification to lapse and you retest later in life. So how do you know when you will have to renew? It's easy. Check your expiration date. Every certification will expire on May 31st, either in an odd year or an even year. You need to know which group you are in. This is Jenny. Jenny became a CNA in 2017. She was placed into the even year group, so her expiration date will be in even years. She is joining a group already in progress, so her expiration date will be the same as theirs, regardless of when she became certified. Everyone in this group has the same expiration date. So, do I have to take the test again? No. As long as you meet all the requirements and renew on time, you will never have to take the state boards again. In order to renew your CNA certification in Florida, you must meet 2 requirements and pay a small fee. You must work at least once as a CNA for pay in this renewal cycle. You must complete the required number of in-service hours and pay the renewal fee. We will look at each of these in more detail in the following section. In Florida, every CNA is required to perform nursing-related services for monetary compensation within the renewal period in order to renew their certification. That means they have to get paid to do CNA skills. This rule is in effect to ensure that CNAs are using their skills so that they do not forget what they have learned. But there are no specific amount of hours that are required. But be careful. If you are not currently working in healthcare as a CNA, you may not be able to renew. But there is a way. Follow me to see Jim's story. This is Jim. Jim became certified as a CNA in 2016. Jim planned on going to work in the local hospital after he became certified. But Jim's uncle needed help at his bank and hired Jim. Jim likes his new job at the bank and he's doing very well there. He doesn't want to leave the bank, but he wants to keep his CNA certification active. He worked hard to get it. One of Jim's bank customers, a supervisor at the local home health agency, mentioned that they were looking for weekend CNAs to care for some of their new clients. Jim immediately filled out an application. He was hired and now works only 1 Saturday a month. Jim kept his regular job at the bank, but still met the requirements for renewal. Jim will keep one of his pay stubs for proof of the work requirement. Now let's look at the second requirement, in-services. In Florida, continuing education courses for CNAs are called in-services. You must complete a certain amount of continuing education every renewal period in order to renew your certification. You must complete continuing education in-services in certain topics every renewal period. These will include bloodborne pathogens and infection control, domestic violence, medical record documentation, resident rights, communication with cognitively impaired individuals, CPR skills, and medical error prevention and safety. So remember your expiration date on your certification. You need to compute how many months you will have that certification to determine how many hours you need. You will need 1 hour of in-service for every month that you are certified. First, locate the date that your certification was issued. Then locate your expiration date. Count the number of months that you will have your certification in this certification period. So if this certification issue date was January 1st, 2017, and the expiration date is May 31st, 2018. There are 17 months of certification. This certification will be valid for 17 months before renewal. So this certification will require 17 hours of exercise before renewal. Once you have done your required topics, the remainder of the hours can be in a topic you choose. Choose topics that relate to your work environment or an environment that you want to work in. The topics you choose are entirely up to you, and the choices are endless. In-services can even help you if you want to change jobs. How? I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you currently work in a dementia unit. But then your friend tells you about a job opening at a local hospital. You've never worked in a mother-baby unit, but you really want this job. You can complete in-service topics related to this new opportunity to show motivation. This shows that although you lack experience, you are willing to learn. Supervisors like that. Now that you know how many in-service hours you need for renewal and what the required topics are, you need to find out how to get them. Most workplaces require an orientation session for new employees. Some employers will give you in-service credit for completing these modules during orientation. In-services can be awarded for watching videos, classroom instruction, formal group discussions, or even self-study at home. This is a great interview question. Do you offer in-service training hours? In-services can also be awarded for topics discussed in monthly workplace meetings. Sometimes hospitals and other community agencies will host continuing education opportunities. These are often advertised online or in community newspapers or bulletins. But for many CNAs, the easiest way to get your required in-services is online. There are many online in-service providers. Each is structured a bit differently, but most have some sort of free trial. Simply search for CNA In-Services Florida in your favorite search engine. If you are unsure if the provider you want to use is recognized by the Board of Nursing as an approved provider, you can check them out on CE Broker. Go to cebroker.com. Under course search, select your state and your profession, and then click the Begin Search bar. Now click the Providers tab to access a list of approved providers. You can also search for courses right on this website. So far, we've learned how to work at least once as a CNA for pay this renewal cycle, and we've learned how to complete the required number of in-service hours. So all that's left is to renew and pay the fee. The bottom of your certification card contains the information you will need to renew. Your specific renewal instructions are printed here. Once you access the website listed on your certification card, flhealthsource.gov, click on Renew a License. After logging in, follow the prompts, check off the requirements, and pay the fee. Renewal can take less than 15 minutes to complete as long as all of your requirements are met. You will sign in with your username and password on your certification card. You do not have to send anything to the Board of Nursing to prove that you've met the requirements. You only need to send proof, which would consist of a pay stub and in-service certificates, if the Board of Nursing requests them from you. You must keep your proof for at least 4 years after renewal. Never, ever lie on your renewal. The Board of Nursing does periodic audits. The penalties for lying on your renewal are severe. Make sure you've met all the requirements before completing your renewal. You now have all the knowledge you need to renew your CNA certification in Florida. Remember to look at your new certification card for your next expiration date. Until then, Happy caregiving.
All right. Any questions? Questions? You guys know how to renew now? The big thing is once you take the test, you never have to take it again as long as you keep up with your renewal. But if you let it lapse, then you would have to go through the whole process again. You don't want your ability to make money to go away. So make sure that you always put $55 away so that you have it for renewal. Okay. Questions? Okay. Good morning, Priya. Good morning, Rose. All right. You guys can go ahead and, well, let's give me about 3 minutes and then we're going to go outside and take our class photo. Okay. So give me about, I'm just trying to finish up here. Give me about 3 minutes. We'll go outside, take a class photo, and then we'll come in and cut the cake and have a party. And I'll give you graduation folders and we'll celebrate your accomplishments.
I'm gonna leave once you said that.
The practice kit, I think it's $45.99 right now, through today. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's $45.99. That's the bulk discount and the current student discount. The online people, they won't unfortunately get that discount. So
Then you don't have time to practice on this, then it's open. Yeah.
When is it? When is it?
What? Four.
No, she said it's not the rest of the month.
for a month.
On Saturday for Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's within a reasonable time frame, 6 weeks or so, that's fine. Yeah, if you come back 9 months from now, I'm not going to let you back into practice. And this is why. It's not because I'm being mean.
Right.
In 9 months, you're not going to remember everything that I said. So when you come into practice, you're going to be very rusty. So you'll end up leaning on the people that are here and asking them a ton of questions and asking them to show you how to do things. And that's not fair to the people that are trying to practice. So if it's 6 months, 9 months, I'm not going to let you back in just to protect my current students.
Right.
If it's reasonable, 6 weeks, 7 weeks, if you come in and say, hey, I'm testing next week, I really have to practice, and it's, in a reasonable time frame, then I'll let you in. The whole goal though is to protect current students, you guys. Okay. So when she comes out, we'll go ahead and go out front and I'll take a class photo and I'm going to post that onto Facebook. I do not tag you. So you have to go to my Facebook page to get your picture. You can share it if you want, or tag yourself.
Where you guys going? Where you going with them?
Oh, I've never been, like Napa, but we're going for his funeral. I didn't know him, so I've never been. I believe it's Gallenberg.
Oh, that's nice.
Hey, I'm gonna need you for the picture.
Even though it's a funeral, sorry. Gatlinburg's still cool.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna like, so it's not like a fun vacation, but.
All right, whenever you guys are ready, come on out.
Y'all is cute. Y'all are cute.
Can you just hold this for a second? Yeah, that might be a good idea. Just hold that for a second. And everybody come stand up here. Tall people on the yellow stripe, shorter people on the pavement. I'm going to range you by color. Okay. Yep, come on down. Okay. I'm actually going to, let me have you go up. Jane, you come down. And then I want you in the middle. So I'm color coding you guys. There we go. Now you don't have to wear black. So the first picture is just you guys. So smile. Be proud. Okay. Now I want you to celebrate. You just graduated. Yay. Okay, good. Now stay there. Okay. I'm going to give this to you.
Grade.
Okay. So now I'm going to have everybody step down, everybody on the pavement. Yep. Good. Good. Okay. So here, I'll go on this side. Okay. So you're going to hold that. Hold that. You're the first class I've ever done this with. But we're going to celebrate our 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. Okay. So you're going to hold that one next to you. There you go. And I'll go up here and hold this one. And we want to try to get them all kind of at the same level. Good? How's that look? Yep.
3, 2, 1.
Take a couple.
A little bit further away, maybe.
Good. Okay. And now this is going on the wall. You guys were here for this, so.
It is exciting.
Oh, that's good.
Catch any glare on them, so.
Yeah.
And then one's a little bit further away in case the lighting.
Nice. Yeah.
I
If you
gave
need me,
you
I'll
the
be in my
thumbs up.
office.
Thank you, Jake.
You put these on your Facebook?
Yes, I'm going to put them on the Facebook page. So you guys can take a break, cut the cake. Well, let's go in and cut the cake together.
We need to
Let's
take
do
pictures.
that on, yeah, let's do that on video too. Whoops, I'm sorry.
So excited. I'm so excited. Yeah, if you want. Yeah, if you want me to sit there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
There you go.
Now
See, I
send
worked
that
in
to me.
Publix, I know, take pictures, that's it. I almost threw a cake on a little kid one day. It was on the plastic and it started, I held it down for him to see, and it started sliding. Well, I got a little bit on him, so.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
awesome.
All right, so you two people, let's involve you. I'm just gonna bring the camera around here.
I know, there's so many.
Whoa. Whoa. Okay. Hold up, guys. I forgot I'm connected. I can't go that far. So I'm going to bring the cake over so that our YouTube people can participate. All right. So here's the cake, guys. We did it all together. Thank you guys online for participating. This is yours as well. So congratulations to all of us. And here's forks, the knife. You guys can cut the cake. It's yours. Congratulations. Well, you're the graduates.
Yeah, but your turn.
Okay. All right. Well, somebody take a picture for me. Well, thank you. Okay. Yay. No such thing as a small piece of public cake. Oh, thank you. All right, guys, here you go. There you go. Thank you. I'll go ahead and add these in. And you guys at home can celebrate with us. And then we'll get into graduation.
Breaking my fast.
Oh,
Just for you.
we appreciate it.
Yes. That ain't no piece of cake. Anybody want to split a cannoli? I don't know why I'm excited. I can't think.
Oh, this is my little favorite. I think that's what makes it so much better. I feel like I took all the cupcakes. I definitely did. No, it's okay. I like that one. I see. Okay.
Shut up. I'm bad, she says.
That and the way I eat, not physically, not like.
Oh, that slime stuff. Yeah, sorry. I didn't get it. There's a half a cannoli cup for you. Virginia, where do you want to work? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I think I'm stuck with the quiz.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
My friend's in nursing, she works in.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That one thing.
Yeah. feel like it would never be boring. Ever.
Me personally, I don't want to work as cardio.
Hey, but crazy gets crazy.
Yeah, you can empathize.
Okay, your pictures are up on our Facebook page. It's for your CNA medical training. Oh, that looks delicious. Mm. Yeah, once I get graduation done. Thank you guys for making this special for me.
Thank you for all the treats.
And for involving us.
Yeah.
I really am blessed to have the best students.
Do you have a lot of students that come back and fill you in on
Yeah.
their life?
I ran into one of your in the shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was signing up, she said that you're a great teacher and that every question she asked, like you helped her.
That's nice.
My mom.
Your mom?
Yes. She's the one that told me to take your class.
Wow, that's awesome.
My sister did it. She works at the hospital in Burkesville, and she signed up for the RN program too. But she said when she went and did her exam that they specifically knew she was from your class because the way she did her.
Yeah, yeah,
She
that's,
said it was a big difference. You could tell the people that the CNAs that she's worked with where they were trained. Or who they were.
yeah, my big goal, I mean, I know I'm teaching classroom here, but my big goal is to standardize CNA training across the country. So that it doesn't matter who you're working with or where you're working, they have the same training and they have the same values and ethics and patience, integrity. So that's my big goal. That's why I do a lot of this for, I live stream to YouTube and I do my live lessons, and we're gonna start the game show in the first weekend of March. So I'm really excited about that. Cause that's live. It's a live game show that you guys can compete for prizes on YouTube. So it's gonna be really, really cool. But that's why I do a lot of these things, is because I'm legitimately trying to change CNA training all across the country. It's a big goal. That's a big goal.
Have you ever heard of Patti?
Kahoot? I have heard of it, yeah. I don't know much about it, but it's like an interactive platform, right?
Yeah, but you can make like tests and quizzes on there. And
Okay.
then people can play. It's like a game play.
Okay.
That
Alright.
when you said a game show, it kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
They used to do it, we used to play it in high school to
Okay.
like prep for tests and stuff.
Okay.
And our teacher would just like put it on in class and it gives you like the question and then, I think it was on the board that tells you what the, like the A, B, C, and D are, but they're in shape. So you just pick the shape that matches and
Oh, okay.
it gives you like a timer. But they would make it like a fun way of studying for us in class. Like game class.
Yeah, and this is basically just like that, but it's on YouTube. So you see the question, you see the answer choices, you see me, game show. And then you actually type into the chat 1, 2, 3, or 4, or A, B, C, D. And then the system, it's all done in YouTube, but the system that I'm using actually reads those responses, tallies them up, and assigns points. And then you have a leaderboard. So it's like Kahoots, but specifically for YouTube. So yeah, it's gonna be really, really cool. Because then I can reach a wider audience.
Yeah.
Like everybody's on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Do you do the CPR?
I don't. That's a very good question. I used to be a CPR instructor, but Julie at CPR Rescue is who, she actually was teaching in our class, so I quit teaching it because I had somebody else do it. Julie at CPR Rescue, I think she's in her old unit by, you know that plaza beside Golden Corral on 19?
No.
It's got like Jericho Ministries and Marco's Pizza's there. Well, the part with Marco's Pizza's at the front. If you go like toward the end of that strip is where she's teaching. And her phone number, if you want it, is 352-346-0463. 346-0463. You really should. Most places are gonna require it before you get hired. I was gonna say, some places do, that they'll actually, pay for the CPR training. So it's always best to have your own, because again, if they pay for it, they get to keep your card.
Yeah.
So it's always best to have your own, but some places will, and that's a great, maybe starter, cause you're just getting started and, it would be a great interview question. Me personally, I would always have my own. Yeah, I'd have to get it done before.
And we need that BLS, right?
Right, it's you'll hear it called CPR for healthcare providers, or BLS. BLS is kind of the shorthand version. So one of our online YouTube people, Helen, wanted to wish you guys congratulations to all. Wish you a happy ending, especially to your exams. That was very sweet. All right, so you two people, we're gonna go ahead and sign off because we're just going to get into graduation here, and it's not really something that we need to broadcast. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off of YouTube. Thank you guys for joining in our celebration. If you've got any questions, please feel free to join us for our question and answer session tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, where I answer questions about CNA training, testing, and workplace. And stay tuned for the quiz show. That'll be coming up the first part of March. I'll tell you more information about that tomorrow on my live. Until next time, guys, happy caregiving. We start a whole new class on February 20th. Hope you join us. Bye.